Tarzan is a fairly simple platformer from Disney, released for the PSX, PC and N64. The player takes on the role of the eponymous hero and accompanies him on his adventures along the story known from the movie. If you look at the game without any nostalgic glorification and with somewhat objective quality standards, you will most likely come to the conclusion that Tarzan doesn't do anything special. Nevertheless, this game was one of the most formative video game experiences of my childhood, which is why I would like to explain my fascination in this review. Tarzan is essentially a solid 2D platformer with 3D models. Most of the levels follow a familiar and clear structure. The player starts at the left end of the level with the aim to overcome all obstacles and finally reach the goal. They hereby have to deal with all kinds of dangers from the thicket of the wilderness. In this jungle, everything wants to kill you. Birds, monkeys, crocodiles, even frogs and flowers. Yes, flowers want to get at our monkey man's loincloth. To fend off enemies, Tarzan can throw a wide variety of fruits, each with different effects. There are normal bullet fruits, powerful flare fruits, mass destruction bomb fruits, and shotgun fruits. Anything that doesn't intend to kill Tarzan, the remaining peaceful animals such as rhinos and elephants serve as trampolines. The jungle sure is a wild place. If fighting off the jungle wildlife with fruit isn't personal enough for you, you can also pull out a stone knife and strike at a close range. The player has an infinite supply of normal fruit bullets, while special fruit and knives are hidden in the level and must first be discovered. In addition to the mass extermination of jungle creatures, there is plenty to do in Tarzan. For example, you can collect coins to unlock lives, find letters of your own name to unlock small movie clips, or assemble 4 parts of a drawing for bonus levels. Some of these extras are hidden, for instance in pits that Tarzan has to break in by roaring wildly and drumming on the ground, or in sections off the main path that can only be reached by athletic vine swings. Additional lives can be earned in bonus levels, such as the stork ride or tree surfing variants. The standard levels therefore always follow this simple pattern: kill, 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 collect, 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 and find the umbrella at the end to finish the level. However, Tarzan does offer a little more variety. For example, there are always levels in between where you have to flee from a horde of monkeys or elephants, basically endless runners, in which the player has to jump at the right moment and only has minimal options when deciding which path to take. In addition, our hero also has to face boss enemies from time to time, and here too the game sticks to its cinematic source material. As far as the story is concerned, Tarzan is based on the Disney movie of the same name from '99. At the beginning of a level, original clips are shown that capture the basic mood and set the scene for the next section. An adaptation of the piece of music that was played at the corresponding point in the movie plays in the background. The game doesn't branch off from the original story in any way like other movie adaptations like Spider-Man 2 for example like to do at times. It's a straightforward retelling of the original with all its strengths and weaknesses. The question now is, can you still play it? Is the game any good, or is it so bad that you need a good dose of nostalgia to enjoy it at all? I have to admit, Tarzan has its problems, and quite a few of them. The game is a real nightmare for completionists. If you're going for a 100% run, you have to deal with confusing level design and a lot of backtracking, which unfortunately is the rule and not the exception. For example, in many levels there comes a point where the player can decide whether they want to take the upper or lower path. At that point, they naturally don't know which path leads where, or where the level continues and where optional content might be hidden. So, players may go up first, explore the area a little, then come to the conclusion that this is actually the main path, go back, discover another junction, which is the actual main path, and realize that there was only one letter hidden at the top. So the player has no choice but to walk all the way back, collect the collectible, and make their way back. This takes forever, and it's no fun. Unfortunately, there are sections like this all over the game. The general lack of orientation is exacerbated by downright questionable camera angles at times. Far too often, the players just expected to make an educated guess about what is waiting for them around the corner. Many times, players just have to guess or know from previous playthroughs because things happen so fast they have no chance to just react in the moment to what's coming, a problem especially apparent when tree surfing. So expect to get hit in the face every now and again, unless you learn the layout of each level. Even more serious than the often confusing camera work are the sluggish controls. As already mentioned, Tarzan can attack with fruit for ranged combat and his knife for close combat. However, both attack modes are incredibly slow. There's usually not enough time to react successfully to suddenly appearing enemies, so you simply can't avoid taking a hit every now and again. Seeing the enemy coming, reacting immediately, and then getting hit in spite of it is just so damn frustrating. Since the controls and camera work so well, the developers came up with the glorious idea of including 2 levels in which Tarzan can move almost freely in 3-dimensional space. Here, it feels like grief and frustration are built into the level design. Enemies spawn endlessly and knock the player to the ground, orientation is pretty much non-existent, the controls feel even more wonky and sluggish than ever before. It's really no fun. So why was the game able to captivate me so much back in the day, despite these immense shortcomings? Well, the simple answer is of course, I was 8 years old, it was Tarzan, I was a huge fan of the movie, even the worst possible adaptation wouldn't have stopped me from playing it. But even after all these years, I have to admit the game has its strengths. Even today, I still like the integration of movie scenes at the beginning of each level. Of course, their quality leaves a lot to be desired by today's standards, but in 1999, they were super impressive and set the tone perfectly for the level to come. As far as the graphical presentation of Tarzan is concerned, of course, the game looks anything but great today, but was at least average back then, perhaps apart from the really blurry background image in each level, which consists of a low-resolution texture. As for the auditory presentation, the soundtrack deserves to be mentioned. It largely consists of variations of the well-known songs from the movie. Whether you like Phil Collins or not is of course highly subjective, but the background music definitely provides a welcome nostalgia boost. It is of course extremely difficult for me to make a halfway objective assessment as to whether Tarzan is still playable today or not. Rather recently, I played through the game again, which took me about 3.5 hours in total. Despite the problems I mentioned, I had fun during this time. What struck me again when playing through the game was the strong feeling of flow that Tarzan sometimes triggers. When you swing from one vine to another, or surf down trees against all physical laws, it's just fun. Tarzan still appeals to me on an audiovisual level, the flow of movement and progression is really strong, and the game still manages to surprise me from time to time. However, without any nostalgic connection to the Disney movie, and without a love for janky 2D/3D platformers from the 90s, there's honestly not much to find here. Nevertheless, this game will always have a special place in my heart. Thank you for your attention.